This is an Arcane Intelligence podcast.
Welcome to a world of danger and wonder. Here, four friends, led by their dungeon master, roll dice and discover adventure. This is the Tale Untold podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tale Untold podcast, the 5th edition D&D podcast documenting the ridiculous and thrilling adventures of a group of friends. I am Brad. I play Thomas Snide, the lore bard who's intent on figuring out what he can get done in this world.
I'm your dungeon master, Matt. I'm here and I'm ready to play.
I am Jace Johansson, and I play Vainkrek, a hexblade half-orc warlock.
Hey, I'm Jordan. I play Matoshka, the Twathan totem barbarian, who has been exiled from his home and he's looking for a new one.
And I'm Michael, and I play Zualma, the soul knife rogue druid, who has ventured out into the world to find some peace and found some friends to help him.
Okay. So, let's begin. After having killed that mage, assisted in his suicide, if you will, you guys take the night to prepare yourselves.
He killed himself. We just prevented his last words
True.
from being heard.
You guys take the night to prepare yourselves and otherwise refresh your spells, bandage up any wounds you may have incurred, and prepare for the infiltration, assault, whatever it may be, of the Mage's Guild. So, I know you guys talked about some stuff. I know you had some stuff written down in Discord. What would you like to do? I have to remind you, the Mage's Guild does know that there's someone out there causing trouble. They're not completely unawares.
Right. So, I was thinking that we should probably create a diversion and at least draw out some of the more militant members of the Mages Guild and send them off in some direction. Now, we have a corpse, and we know they're looking for two Twathans and a half-orc, right? That was the description that was given?
That was the basic description that was given.
Right. So I was wondering if we could, I don't know, draw them out. Maybe they know they're also coming from the south, right? We're heading north.
They are aware of the direction from which you guys are coming, so they do have people on lookout. However, you did manage to get inside with pretty much little trouble thanks to Fang's rather impressive use of persuasion.
Right. So
We
I was wondering
we also have the identity of this man that we may or may not have killed. And we know some things about him, probably enough to use it for some cloak and dagger if needed.
True.
Yeah, it was
Fang's Mask of Many Faces does now contain that mage's face.
I was thinking on that too.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people know you went up to his tower to get an exorcism or to get a consultation on that. And I'm wondering if we can somehow play that in together. Like, say that there was, we kind of feigned this big explosion at the top of the tower at the end, or at least Thomas did a brilliant stroke of strategy. Feigned this kind of explosion, loud noise from the top of the tower. And so maybe we have him saunter in, having been discovered by Thomas, kind of wandering around delirious out in the woods somewhere. And maybe you can use the decursing, like maybe he play on the idea that he may have taken on some of the curse while he was trying to remove it. So if Fang kind of his voice doesn't seem quite right, or his demeanor seems a little bit off, maybe something to do with that. I don't know. Yeah, Mato and I are not going to get in that place.
Not easily, at least.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could
Well, we
always
can go
do
in
the
a circuitous way.
yeah, I could always do the old Chewbacca Han Solo thing with one of you two.
Yep. I always, I think maybe Mato would be the better person for that, given that he's certainly more burly and hairy than Uzuyama. But also, Uzuyama can turn into a giant eagle and drop things from way up high, say a mage's corpse, to create a distraction if the party has need of an exodus.
I don't think exoduses.
And there's this shrine under the eastern tower there that, because now that we know that there's this kind of cave system under the area, I feel like we should use that.
Sir Wolf, Mato and I were down there last time. Was it a rather direct route, or now that we kind of know where that underground temple is, do we have a sense that there may have been a branch or an offshoot of that tunnel that headed in that direction?
And this is why I love you, Mike, because you think outside the box. The well that you guys were using as your auxiliary way in that happened to go through an underground cave where the water was flowing. The well seemed to be only about a quarter of a mile through this cave. There was more cave going beyond the well. That's just where you guys ended up waiting for your compatriots to arrive. So you could continue to explore the cave and use that as a optional form of ingress if you so desire.
I think that would be cool. So
I think that would be cool too.
maybe, I spent some time rebuilding some temporary thieves' tools. So I recall I have 3 uses. And
I built you a wooden shield.
Wooden shield. Mato's gathering some stones. But maybe, and when things got dark the night before we go in, or maybe we go in, and do some recon before.
You managed to get a good look at it. I did supply you guys the map in Discord. It's under the maps tab for those of you guys that still have access to Discord today. It is a pretty small looking area, since it appears most of the mages actually live elsewhere. This seems to be more of a school and a kind of board of education head, if you will. The vast majority of the mages throughout the kingdom live elsewhere, or at least that's what you assume, since you don't see a huge amount of living quarters there.
What about the tunnels underneath? Can we explore them a little bit beforehand?
Why not? It's up to you.
Yep.
I say,
I think as long as we don't hang out at Joey's too much to the point where he gets made, we can. I don't think there's a whole lot of them. Yes.
I believe that we should probably do it with nightfall. If most of the people live outside, of course, in other housing at night, it should be easier.
All right. Bang votes to wait till nightfall. I like that.
So then tomorrow, sorry, we spent the night resting, doing stuff. The next day we'll do some recon, and then the night we'll do our infiltration.
Assuming stuff hasn't gone sour beforehand, that sounds like a fun plan.
Sure. All right. So then tomorrow, I think Zuyama would want to go and explore the caves. He has dark vision, so.
Does anyone like to go with him?
Yeah,
I'll go with him.
with him too.
Do you go with him? Because I think everyone except for Tom has dark vision.
I think we should all go.
I don't have dark vision either.
Oh, that's right. I forget.
But
Different clans.
Yeah.
I have mage hand.
I'll still go with
torch for
just
me.
a greater appear to be in numbers.
I think
Okay.
we should all
Security in
go.
numbers.
Yeah.
So does that
Safety.
leave Fang? Does
I don't
Fang
want anyone to
elect
hang it
stay?
back and then get
No,
found
Fang definitely
at
goes first.
Joey's.
Okay, so we're going to the caves. Like that.
All right.
Mm,
I feel like we just kind of we brushed over those last time. I feel like there was going to be more there.
Right, we had to get the
Yeah.
guy
He did
out.
kind of cut and run with the dude while he was
Right.
unconscious. Oh,
Right.
I should explain.
Yeah, he was gonna wake up soon.
I should explain the unconscious part. Fang was kind of drugged by a barmaid using the drought of death sleep, which forces the character once drunk to fall asleep into what, for all intents and purposes, appears to be death, unless someone passes a level 16 medicine check to like ascertain that they're actually like breathing. Otherwise, they appear to be dead. Used on Fang, interestingly enough, prevents him from having nightmares. However, used on other people, it's very effective at knocking them clean unconscious.
Rather swiftly.
One of my
Ideal.
favorite magic item, not magic item, one of my favorite homebrewed items I gave you guys. Because you guys have used the heck out of that.
Come in handy.
I'm pretty sure Tom at one
yeah.
point knocked him unconscious. And then he knocked him unconscious after Fang accidentally lost his memory for 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to deal with this.
So, the four of you, after saying goodbye to Joey, the gnome druid that is in the area, keeping an eye on the Mages Guild, since the druids do not have a good relationship with the Mages Guild, kind of a uncomfortable peace more than anything else. You say goodbye, you take out, and you guys get to the entrance of the cave. We get to the entrance of the cave. Of course, Tom does his thing, casts Mage Hand to hold his lantern up nice and high, so that everyone that does not have dark vision can see. Which, of course, doubles the dark vision range for those of you that do have dark vision, since dim light, all that.
Not so dark.
So as you guys head into the cave, you're traveling. I would like everyone to make a perception check for me. If your passive perception is not 13 or higher.
14. is my passive
16.
Perception.
I
16
rolled a
as well.
16.
13 plus 4, 17.
And
I
what's
missed
Tom
Tom.
do? What was his score? Tom is
18.
just like, as Tom's walking, he points it out at first, and then y'all begin to notice it all around you.
Like, do I even need this torch?
Most likely Tom saw it because he's mage handing the lantern around first. But as you're going, you start to notice as you get deeper into the cave, right before you get to where the well is, there actually is paintings on the wall. These petroglyphs, cave paintings, showing dragons flying and attacking some smaller human-looking humanoid creatures. You see a great creature that looks a bit like a mix of a goat and an ape that seems to be working alongside the humans in a different depiction, showing them how to build things. You guys see some other interesting creatures, including what the Twathins see to be what looks like a moonhorn, a type of almost like a woolly rhino, just quite a bit larger, that the humanoid figures seem to be either hunting or dancing around or what have you. They are all around it. And as you get right up to the what was it? Yeah, as you get right up to the well, you notice that the pictographs seem to stop being drawings and start to get to be carvings. Similar pictures, people in different shapes. They start to become carved as you get to the well. And then you guys end up where you had last explored the deepest, the well that leads into the Mages Guild. In front of you, once you guys get there and kind of look around, you will notice that the cave does go off into the distance. a little ways. It does, however, seem to have a curve that goes to the left, a few dozen yards ahead.
So, having been down here before, and having, I guess, Thomas and Feng down here now as well, who have been above, can we orient ourselves to get an idea
Right.
where that passageway is heading?
The passageway does seem to be curving around towards the eastern side of the place, as best you can tell. It could snake around all different directions, but where you're standing, it does seem to turn towards that direction that you want to be going in.
It's the most toward the east tower.
Side. Okay. And
I believe the east tower was this way.
and
I think I'd start going for the left one.
what is, you mentioned the ruins, were they under the east tower or elsewhere? I
I believe he said the east tower.
Yes.
Got it in my notes.
Lore bards coming in real handy with that really good memory.
Don't know if I wrote it down right, but that's what I've got written down.
Then this could very well be our way into the Mage Guild proper. Plus, perhaps we get to find out what this Telbrand was so interested in, that what occupied his time so much. Yes, we go there.
Can I also check on these two paths? Do I get any indication of the art on the walls, if it's getting more primitive versus more or is there a difference between the two hallways?
As you continue, because I know your passive perception is super high, as you continue past the well for a few feet, looking for more pictographs, you notice that they still seem to be of the same level of quality. However, they've now been intricately carved into the wall instead of painted. There's a growing level of embellishment around them as they continue into the cave.
Do there happen to be any runes, or is it just
So
carvings?
it's getting more, or it's more fancy?
They are largely pictographs. However, there are strange kind of rose vine with thorn type like knotwork around certain pictographs and kind of filling certain voids in these strange intricate knotworks. They don't seem to be runic in any form that you would recognize, but they do appear in different spots. These strange kind of almost bundles of what looks to be vines and thorns.
So I don't get any sense of a difference between the two paths that we're
just noticing
kind of
them
looking
become
at.
significantly more ornate. That's all I can give you without a history check. To get more information, you'd have to get me a history check of 19 or above.
And as he's kind of looking at these, Suayama is going to start humming a very low, throaty tone, and his hands kind of fingers touch together, and he starts to sing quietly a throat song of guidance, giving Thomas an extra D4 on his check.
That's not gonna make a 19. That's a 9.
It's a 9 even with the bonus.
I rolled a 4 on the D20 and a 2 on the D4.
Thomas is just finding himself a little bit stumped. However, I would let each of the Twathan in the group make a history or religion check if you so desire.
Which is better? Both the same. Sure.
I got a 10.
I got a 7.
Well, working together, you got a 17. We'll go with that.
That how
All together
advantage works.
now. Why don't we say we all work together and we're like all stumped together? Oh man, I think these must be. Yeah, this is a song, isn't it? It's got quite the low tone to it. Yeah.
Beatles, right?
Oh, there comes the bass drop. Boom.
Matoshka, are you proficient in religion?
No.
All right. I have to ask. All right. This does seem to get more intricate the further in you go. What would you like to do?
Well, I think I would go toward left to try to just go most toward the eastern tower.
All right.
Concur.
So, I'm assuming the group continues with him.
Yep. I follow.
Yeah. Hey, if you wanted to split the party, I wouldn't stop you, but
We learned our lesson.
I mean, if people didn't want to, I would follow them over anything.
No. We
said.
learned our lesson. We're
just-
not going to split up. This is a recon day. We can
all right. So you continue down.
be cautious.
You make the first left-hand turn, and you're noticing these pictographs are showing up. Mostly when you come around the corner, the wall that was hidden from you as you come around the corner is where the pictographs seem to be as you go down. And they are, as you get down, you keep traveling, and it's going for almost a quarter mile, kind of gently sloping downward and kind of snaking itself back and forth. After you've been underground for about an hour or so, you do notice the pictographs suddenly seem to be surrounded by stones that seem to be carved into these intricate cubes with inward swirling faces, almost like a cube that has a swirl that digs down a layer, swirling down towards the center, kind of leaving a pit. On each of its faces, they're just sitting on chunks in the wall or hanging from the ceiling or popping up from the floor.
So, cubes of stone with little like whirlpools
Yes.
dug into them. Right. Are they on all faces?
All the faces
they're-
that you can see, of course, there's usually one face that's touching the stone.
They're just kind of popping out of the wall stuff.
Yeah.
So with cone holes.
I wish it was Wallaby. Wallaby would just start
Wallaby
touching
would be
all of
touching
them.
all.
But Thomas would not
So
do
you guys
that.
continue down. As you continue going, you now begin to see what looks to be some form of writing. It is very interesting in that it seems to be a mixture of pictographic depictions of different animals that are kind of geometrically shaped. You know, some of them are kind of triangular, kind of squarish, different animals, different shapes, different positions. Some of them just seem to be more symbolic in nature, you know, different arrangements of lines and shapes and what look to be symbols. Interestingly enough, that strange kind of vine with thorn motif is now continuing directly underneath these pictographs.
Can I do an investigation check on these guys?
Oh, most certainly.
I'm
It's
going
going to be a 15 for a little bit of information, but an 18 for a lot of information.
So I'm going to first do a little prayer and throat song to give myself some guidance, seek the wisdom of the ever-changing winds. 16 and then D4. 17 plus 4, 21.
As you're doing your throat singing and kind of feeling out the shapes with your fingers, kind of tracing them, you do notice them begin to glow ever so softly. And as you continue doing this, out of one of the faces of the wall comes at first a kind of spectral blue rabbit that comes out of a shape of a rabbit, kind of bounces along the floor and disappears as it walks through a wall. And as you continue, you'll notice that each of the pictographs begins to kind of softly glow as you touch it. Then eventually, as you touch the last one on the wall, out of it comes a large ghost bear form that walks out of the wall very slowly, looking first at Thomas, Fang, looking at Zoyama, but then it sees Matoshka. Matoshka, this bear that seems to have materialized thanks to the throat song of Zoyama, gently walks forward and kind of bows its head towards you before turning around and starting to walk down the cave.
I'll just follow it instinctively.
Mato follows.
I think Tom would let Mato lead the way, but kind of.
All right.
Yep.
The whole
Zuyama
group
will
can-
follow as well.
And I'm assuming Jace would follow. I think he had a tiny bit of an internet glitch. He'll join us back once he has a second, I'm sure. So you continue down, following this bear. And as you go, you actually see the pictographs around you as the bear passes by seem to come to life, moving on the walls in this strange kind of blue ethereal light that it casts as it walks down these hallways, which begin to snake less and less, become straighter. You're seeing more of those cubish, whirlpoolish stones starting to crop up here and there. And while at first there's just a few of them, now they're starting to show up next to each other and on top of each other and in series and growing more numerous as you get deeper.
And I think I'll whisper to Tomato in Twathan. Is you recognize any of these pictures on the wall? Or this bear that guides us further into the depths of the earth. I know not of it, but it seems of the Bear Clan.
The bear will never lead us into danger. It has no reason to. I trust it fully right now. And it will lead us to where we need to be.
As you
With
say,
his
brother.
With his answer, Zoyama, you will notice that on the wall, kind of gently following behind, just gently behind where your line of sight has been as you look back towards the wall, there is an eagle that has been following you along the side of the wall, a pictograph that seems to have been following you, glowing softly, but kind of flying from picture to picture, landing on different objects or trees or ledges as there might be in the cave walls. It kind of follows you along the way.
Tsuyama would reach out to it. Not trying to grab it or restrain it, because that would be sacrilegious, but to, kind of like you or reach out towards a cloud that's passing by way above you, just kind of to, I don't know, want to be closer to it, admiring it.
Softly, in your own mind, you hear an eagle cry gently as if it's miles and miles away. Matoshka, the bear that has come out, the spectral bear that has come out thanks to Zoyama's throat singing, continues to lead you down. And as it continues down, it is leading you towards what seems to be the end of the passage. You can see it a little ways off. There seems to be some sort of door. As it gets down to that door, it goes and it gently gets the door, turns, and looks directly at all four of you before going and walking right through the door. In front of the door, you guys notice 4 pictographic depictions of animals. There is an eagle, there is a dragon, there is a moon bear, and, interestingly enough, there's a wolf all kind of put equidistantly on the floor in front of the door. And on the door, there appears to be some writing.
Anything we recognize?
Mm.
Common 12.
Do either of our
Elvish Druid?
Twathan friends have history as a proficiency?
No.
No.
Has history as a proficiency.
Well, Tom, this would be a good time to make a history roll.
Intelligence. is
Can we
terrible.
say that since this is of Twathan origin, you might be chatting to us about it, and we might be
Yeah,
giving you
I
a
would-
little bit of help?
I would like to be.
I would assume that is a reasonable suspicion.
Right.
As
so we can
long
give
as
you
I am not
advantage.
involved.
Okay. Yeah, what my history can do. That's a 12.
A 12. You're looking at it, you think you remember something similar to this, but you're not quite certain. However, you do get the indication you should probably call Augie, who might know something more.
Phone a friend.
For our listeners, Augie is a former character that elected to stay behind at one of the stops during the campaign for his own character-based reasons. He's also played by Mike, so Augie made them some sending stones to communicate with him should they find something strangely arcane that they need help with.
Can you remind me what the animals on the door were?
The animals on the floor are a dragon, was it a ghost bear or a moon bear, Jordan? You have to remind me.
Eagle,
Moon bear.
dragon, moon bear,
Uh,
wolf.
Moonbear, yeah.
Moon bear.
These were on the floor or on the door?
On the floor.
In
On the
front
floor,
of the door.
inside of
On the floor.
kind of inside their own little geometric backgrounding, if you will.
On the floor, in front of the door.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Floor.
Uh,
Right.
I believe currently Jace is the one that has the sending stone from Augie.
All right. Guess I'm calling him. Plug your ears.
Okay, I'll call it Augie.
Yeah,
At this hour-
man, that man's voice is horrible. I am going to go down the hallway. Ugh. Come and get me when you're done.
I love how you solved that continuity problem so easily.
You know, I've never seen those two in the same room. So Augie.
You hear a gentle kind of like crash and stumble, a little bit like a cat screaming, as Augie is apparently desperately trying to get to the sending stone from
Hey,
some
wait,
other
no.
Location.
Hey,
People to
just,
talk
just,
to.
hold on,
Augie,
don't hang up,
Augie,
don't hang up. Hey,
Augie,
come on.
Augie,
Oh, yes, that's
Augie.
me.
Hey,
Oh,
listen.
hey, it's been days.
Hey.
Let me let you know what's been going.
No, Augie,
I
Augie,
finally
focus,
finished that
focus.
syllabus.
Augie, we do not have time.
Oh,
Unfortunately, we need you to look at something.
you always have time for listening to my syllabus, don't you? I mean, that's why you call me every
Maybe in the
so often,
morning.
right?
Can you write it in a letter, preferably in Elvish?
What was that?
Can write it down in a letter in Elvish and send it to me, please.
I guess where are you guys now? It's
Um,
been days
what-
since you last called me.
Augie, what does this mean?
And Fang turns the camera around and surveys the room.
Hey,
I love how we
no
have the camera.
hey,
camera
I
on there.
I can't see anything. I just can hear your voice.
Okay, Augie, there's an eagle, a dragon, some kind of bear. I'm told it's a moon bear by one of these guys, and a wolf. And tell me that means something to you.
Well, they're all animals. I mean, two of them are mammals. Two of them lay eggs. I don't know. Can I have a little bit more context?
So
Uh,
they
is this in a
are
book or?
mammals that lay eggs.
Uh, eh, eh.
It takes Tom all of about 5 seconds to
Thomas,
clue him into where they are.
Take the stone from Fang. Right. So, all right. So, guess roll some.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that Thomas fills you in on
Yeah.
what's happening there rather than have him have to RP all
I'll
that.
do my best to describe all the intricacies.
When
Being a
Fang
lore bard, I
passes
assume you can
the
describe it accurately. So,
when Fang passes the stone to Thomas, he just goes and lays down directly on top of the dragon. Just lays down on it.
and your familiar Razor, what does he do?
He just is in my pocket, just kind of pops his head up when he realizes we're laying down and kind of just crawls up and sits on my head.
Like
Right.
a cat.
So I will roll. Oh man, that's a lousy roll. 4.
I was going to
Plus
assume that Augie is desperately scrambling to find some stuff. Pulls out a
6.
scroll. Not that one.
10. Yeah, sorry. My Twathan is a little bit rusty. Maybe we can come at this from a different angle. Has there been any magical, arcane like activity going on here? Perhaps I could help you out with that.
There's been a bear, what's it called? A
Is it
spectral
brown
bear.
or black? Oh, spectral. Oh,
Spectral.
very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let me think about that for a second, and I'm gonna roll an Arcana.
Yes, sir.
15 plus 6, 21 plus 1 from his guidance, which he also has because I like guidance. So 22. So 15 plus 6 plus 1, yeah, 22.
All right. So Augie is going to become distinctly aware of the fact that that moon bear being spectral means that there's probably some sort of wild magic in the area that was either set up with some sort of magical setup, if you will, to be triggered when certain people have entered the area, or that is the wild magic itself kind of bidding itself to do something along those lines. It's definitely not a active magical spell that someone is actively casting. It's either some sort of spell that has been ingrained into the surrounding rock to trigger when certain people arrive, or it is a wild magic occurrence.
All right. Yeah, so good news, bad news. The spell is definitely not being cast by anyone nearby. But this could be some triggered effect from your presence, or maybe something else. Or this could simply be the will of the wild magic that's surrounding you, folks. It's kind of hard for me to know, being so far away. But yes, I think that's the best I can do. But that sounds fascinating. Huh. Well, let me tell you about my syllabus. So,
Okay, good talking to you,
yes.
Augie, but we're really in a hurry. Sorry, and then
the
I'm gonna
master
hang
is
up.
just fit good. Ding.
He talks for another minute or two after Tom stuffs the singing stone into his pocket, kind of gently going, doing his thing. Eventually, he does hang up.
Okay.
Which is unfortunate for Augie. But Augie's just so much energy.
Oh, he just assumes that the sending stone time limit expired, and he's like, "Oh, they probably heard it all."
Please deposit another 50 cents.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tom's got an idea.
What's your idea, Tom?
He sees Razor sitting there. Does anything at all happen when Razor gets close to the dragon icon?
Interesting. You should mention that. As Fang, who's laying on top of the dragon, gently kind of rolls over a little bit, trying to get a little bit more comfortable on this stone floor, you do notice that the dragon icon is ever so softly almost imperceptibly glowing a green color.
Okay. So seeing that, Tom is gonna kind of say, Matoshka, wait, get over here. And he's gonna kind of like nudge Matoshka onto the moon bear and Zoyama onto the eagle. And then he's gonna look at this wolf and be very confused. And then he's just gonna cast minor illusion on it to make a wolf on top of it.
As you push the others onto the circles, the green glow forms underneath their feet, and the glow underneath the other people, as they take a step, grows brighter and brighter with each additional person. The minor illusion wolf does absolutely nothing as you put it on top of the wolf totem, if you will.
Tom's gonna try standing on it, but he's gonna be very
As
confused.
you step onto it, it's going to gently do this surging green glow, growing very bright, all of them together. And then that greenness is going to travel down these cracks in the floor, kind of zigzagging their way to the door. As they get to that door, you're going to see the door illuminate itself gently around the edges in green. And after just a moment, a very soft voice cuts through the still air of the cavern. Enter, friend, those who have tamed the flame inside you. Blood has opened many stones, but honor leads one true. Distrust and fear slam the gates, but the wind of patience will guide you. Follow the river of the sleeping bear and speak if you wish to pass through.
Yeah, you got the wrong guy.
Make all of you please make individual perception tests.
Make a what check?
Everyone make an individual perception check. The words that were said, I will post into the chat. It says they were all said aloud. Interestingly enough, they all seem to be said in your own native languages.
Perception.
There you go. It's in the Zencaster chat.
In the most overkill, I rolled a natural 20, so it's a 28 for my perceptions.
What? Sweet.
I got 18.
11.
I got an 8.
I've got
Sounds about right.
11, but I can burn a energy die to boost that if I need to. Which I probably
Fang's original statement, if you got the wrong guy, still stands with the 8. Tom, even though you have a very high score, you're having trouble understanding this. You do understand it seems to be some sort of riddle for how to open the door, with each section being important.
So I still hear and understand the language.
You hear and understand it.
Not picking anything
You don't notice
up,
anything about the door itself.
Okay.
Despite your high roll, you do understand that this is definitely a riddle needed to open the door.
Am I forgetting something? Is there a wolf in my background? It's gonna.
I don't know. Is there? It's your character.
I searched my notes for wolf and don't find anything.
As Thomas is looking around with his perception, he notices the wolf totem underneath him is just quietly transmorgifying into a tree.
Well, that's close. That makes a bit more sense.
And all of our memories get rewritten so that it was always a tree.
No, I'm gonna leave it as it started as a wolf and it just went. Matoshka, you got an 18?
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, what did Zoyama get?
He got 11, but I can boost that with an energy die if that I'm guessing that doesn't.
It does not do anything good for you.
All right, I'll burn an energy die and bump it up to a 13. Not sufficient time guessing.
While he does that, Tom, you do notice that the glow coming from Soyama and Mato's spot seems to be a little bit brighter than everybody else's, heading towards the door.
Okay.
So I'll give you that.
Thing, you've got that dragon egg still, do you not? Perhaps putting the egg on, maybe crack it open, do a little omelet on that dragon stone, and
That's very valuable, I believe. I don't think we want to just go cracking that on any old.
It's been sitting in Fang's bag for at least a week at this point. I'll be
Rotten. Okay.
maybe put it on the stone, see if it makes brighter. Yes.
I take it out and I set it gently on the stone.
As you step away and set the thing down, your little circle with the dragon fades out of the light. Nothing seems to happen from the egg.
It's broken.
I put the egg back into my pouch. And
Soyama, what was your total with the energy die?
We have a torch, right?
It was only 12. Or sorry, 13 total.
You do have a torch. It's up in the air, being held aloft by Mage Hand.
Bring down the torch. I think I have an idea.
I would move the torch toward him.
As I want to grab the torch, and I want to set it down on the dragon. See if that does anything.
The flames of the torch do nothing, as long as just setting the torch alone on the dragon doesn't seem to do much. The glow does not reappear.
Fang traces the outline of the dragon with his hand. And
as you touch the dragon, it seems to glow more.
I think you need to stay on the dragon thing.
Does it glow more?
Get back on the dragon.
Does it glow more with the torch?
The glowing seems to be directly connected to the physical connection of Fang to the totem.
Okay.
Matoshka, with your 18 and your Twathan heritage, you, after you've noticed all this and looking back at the door, do notice that there's part of the door that seems to be almost fluid. No one else in the group is able to see the fact that the door seems to have a fluid center, but from where you're standing, the center of the door seems to be almost like it's made of a soft, rippling pool turned on its side.
I'm gonna put my hand on it. Let's see if it goes through.
As you walk forward, the glow does not leave the moon bear as you walk forward. You put your hand on the wall, and while for a second it sits on the edge, and then just slowly slides through. Everyone else, as far as you can tell, his hand hit normal stone, and nothing happened until all of a sudden his hand just kind of disappeared into the stone.
Okay. It's eating him! Soyama pulls out a knife and throws it at the wall.
The knife harmlessly bounces off the stone.
I'm about to do something really dumb. And I take my sword and I cut my hand and I start touching the rune with my blood.
So you cut your hand and start touching the thing on the floor?
With the sword,
right, that was
in particular.
Dumb. I think
it's how you get all sorts of diseases.
Yeah.
The glow, while still present, begins to fade slightly with the touching of your blood to it. Matoshka, you can feel a gentle tugging on your hand, pulling on you as you have your hand partially through this wall.
Soyama jumps up and tries to pull Mato out of the wall. It's eating him. We must get him out. Soyama is absolutely weak, especially compared to Mato, but he's still grabbing his arm and trying to pull him out of the wall.
Is it just one spot?
The center of the door, about 8 feet tall, 5 feet wide, seems to be liquid as far as you can tell. and only seems to be appearing to you based off the reactions of the others.
Is there enough room for me to try to walk through it?
Easily without having to turn sideways.
8 by 5.
Tom
I want to
is
try to walk through it.
All right. Joshka's hand is through it, and then in a moment he just takes 2 steps and seems to glide gently right through the stone wall. I'm assuming that at this point, Zwayama is losing his ever-loving mind as he
It's
literally
hitting
walks
him.
into it.
Pull harder. Grab onto my arm. Thomas, we must pull him from this wall. It has consumed him.
As Matoshka passes through the wall, at a certain point, Zwayama's fingers, as he's holding on to Matoshka, hits the wall, and the wall is solid for Zwayama, and it literally prevents him from moving forward as Matoshka slips through his fingers.
Thomas is going to he's also gonna try to walk through this door, but I know it's more of a produce flame kind of thing than a firebolt thing, but he's gonna try to show off his fire skills with his produce flame cantrip. As he
you
tries
go to produce the flame,
touch it.
as you get close to the door, when you're about 2 feet away, the flame mysteriously dies all of a sudden, even though you're magically sustaining it.
Okay.
Now, while the rest of the group is trying to figure out what's going on, Matoshka, as you pass through the door, it's almost like falling into water for a second, as it seems to surround you, and then it pulls away, and it leaves you standing in an empty chamber on the other side. As you look behind you, you can still see the same kind of watery image, and now you can see through it and see your friends kind of freaking out. However, as you look around, the air place is illuminated with these softly glowing green crystals. And standing in the center of all of it is a creature. Now, this creature, it has a bit of the appearance of a lion, an ape, and a goat put together. It has this strong goat-like hindquarters with a lion's tail. These continues up into these very, very muscular arms that end in grasping hands, kind of ape-like, sitting on its knuckles. And then the head is along the lines of a goat with 2 sets of horns, one circling back and forward, and the other one's going forward in kind of a slight wave away from the head, kind of creating a bit of a fork up front and the curve back behind the ears. The creature is sitting there looking at you, silent.
Tom is gonna cast message to ask him, what's going on in there?
The message spell does not seem to penetrate the stone.
I'm going to, as he sits there, I'm going to take the axe off of my back, my great axe, set it on the floor next to me, and I'm going to bend the knee to him. I'm going to bow to basically bow to him.
All right. As you bow to him, do me a favor and make a kind of stealthy history or religion check, just to see if you can recognize what this creature is.
That's a 7.
As you 7.
We are
You're
rolling
almost certain you've heard of it
so
before, but you have no
bad.
idea what the name is.
Uncultured fucks.
It happens. It happens. As you kind of come forward and bow gently onto your knee, the creature looks at you, bows its own head gently down, looking down with its horns and coming back up. And then it kind of pulls itself up out of its seated position and gently walks towards you. Before it's standing right in front of you, just looking at you. It doesn't tower over you per se. It's probably about 7 feet tall, not including the horns. As it's standing. but it is just sitting there looking at you. Then as it sits there for a second, after a moment of silence,
I'll stand up.
tracks you gently with its eyes. And then shifting its weight, it extends one of its hands outward.
I'll shake his hand.
As you place your hand in his, all of a sudden, your mind seems to open up and you feel another presence come up to your brain as this creature comes forth and seems to almost speak into your brain directly through the contact. Hello. There's been many, many, many years since I've had a visitor here. You are not of the children of Fori, but it seems that their blood does run within you in some form. Even though it is not pure, you are still welcome here, child. Here, we value those who are not prone to violence incessantly, but instead honor the pact that was made with many creatures back before the shattering, back before the Formar civilization was shattered and destroyed. You have a perfect emulation of the Moon Bear's sensibilities. Strength without aggression. Will you vouch for the conduct of those who follow behind you? For violence is not tolerated here.
So he almost taking his knife and trying to carve the door. Boom, 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 boom. How do I murder this door?
I'm literally just dripping blood all over the place.
Some blood over there, some blood over there.
Quick,
Tom
bring the
is-
blood to the wall. Maybe it weakens it.
Tom is trying to stand on his square, but also trying to use Mage Hand to grab his wrist so he stops. He's like, no. Like,
All right. Matoshka. It continues to gently kind of hold your hand as it talks to you, and it shares with you something interesting. It shares with you a vision of the past of a group of Foramar, which is another race here in our campaign. A group of Foramar who were sent out from the main Foramar civilization. You see a great Foramar city built almost like a stacked ziggurat pyramid that goes up to the sky, with thousands of Foramar living upon it and in it and around it. You see those that were sent out going up into the north, disappearing into the woods. You see the civilization with its great ziggurat shattered, brought to bear as lightning and stones falling from the sky bring it and shatter it into 1,000 pieces, eventually sinking it into a bay that is ringed by toothy stones with only a single passage through. And you can see the ziggurat sinking deep, deep below the water, with only a single spire coming up almost to the top of this strange, milky black stone. As this image continues to show the Foramar surviving and retreating back from their original culture, which was very techno-magic, a lot of great inventions, to more of a slightly more primitive, more elemental magic focus. You also see the Foramar that were sent away before the shattering up in the north, breeding with another race, a race that is naturally possessed of small horns that circle around their ear. And as they breed together, the Foramar lose their natural kind of fleshy head tails. They're replaced by the Twathan head horns, the spikes that grow out of their heads. And from all of this that is being shown to you, eventually you see this group that is interbred with this other race turning into its own culture and breaking off into different clans as they all pursue different aims, different values, one of which follows the teachings and the actions of the moon bear, the animal that they find best exemplifies their values. Gently, as the images fade, it's still holding your hand but looking at you. Instead, well, almost like it's waiting for a response.
I don't know if I can fully vouch for what's outside the store, but what you have shown me is I'm a mutated race of the Foramar? Is that correct?
Creature just gently cocks its head. It looks at you, puts it back, and it kind of shows you the same images again, but it does it almost like a time warp, time lapse thing, showing a Foramar's head tails shrinking and disappearing, and the places where they were originally attached to the head instead transforming into these very short, slightly curved upward horns. For our listeners, a little bit resembling the Zabrak race from Star Wars, if you care.
Is that Darth Maul?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I was picturing.
Yeah. Kind of like that, except for they do have hair.
So
The Twathans are descendants of the
why
Foramar.
why show me what is of the past? My blood is tainted by my ancestors.
The past comes around once again. Everything that has happened will happen again. That is how the wheel turns. Know this. There is danger. Danger that your pizza pool once dealt with. However, it appears that the world outside has lost the knowledge to fight this danger.
Do you have knowledge that would possibly help me and my friends out there fight this?
And then you see an image flash into your mind of creatures, these huge hulking creatures that look a bit like a humanoid mixed with various types of animals, although the humanoid part of them is always seems to be furred or covered in some sort of mangy fuzz. All these creatures seem to have a different kind of look to them. They all have the same general look. These huge hulking bodies with heads that seem to be resembling the almost desiccated remains of some sort of creature. Owls, deer, wolves, bears, vultures, even a couple of dragons on these huge kind of almost werewolf-looking creatures, but they all seem to be slightly gaunt, like bones sticking out in weird places, despite them being muscular. You see other creatures that they've bitten that are small, thin, almost like a skeleton with the skin stretched tight over the bones, despite them still having movement. You see them biting other creatures and transforming them. And then it shows different magic, people trying to use magic to defeat them, but getting bitten, and how the transformation takes them longer, significantly longer, and that they always seem to be significantly stronger, these creatures. And then it flashes a single image before your eyes, a half moon slivered in the sky, just floating gently as the clouds pass in front of it. Beware. The Bearkek have returned. The plague is spreading. Civilization will not maintain its survival if it is allowed to progress unabated. You must find its source. End what threat it is. There seems to be knowledge in the north of this, hidden amongst the Moonhorn clans. Also, I have received word through the breath of Fori, the magic that floats through all the land, that you are not alone. There seems to be people outside of this valley, outside of the wall. Perhaps they have information that might be helpful. Because information here seems to be squandered, hidden, forgotten. Those mages have a great deal of information at their fingertips, but they do not use it. I do not know why, but you must find an answer. Also, in my visions of the world outside, I see people that are not who they are. Reflections of imperfect people. It is strange to me, but it does remind me of the past. You should find what these strange, imperfect shadows are. Maybe they will give answers to your quest.
And
Matoshka.
Yeah.
You were right. Your clan has forgotten the way of the bear. This axe that you have brought, it is older than your clan. Your people were sent out, exiled, turned aside. Those who wield this axe are not able to return home. If you wish to return home, you should give it to me. I will rend it from your soul so you are no longer bound by its curse.
And he's talking about the axe of exile, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll take it out of the holster. Kind of look at it. And I'll hand it to him.
He takes it in his hand and kind of sits back on his haunches. And you can see it as he holds it in his hand, it starts to turn into this strange, milky crystal form as it spreads all around it, engulfing it, before slowly turning into a green, crystalline form of the axe. She then takes and shatters in his hand. You may return home, Tuatha. He reaches out with his finger and gently touches the wound on the side of your head where your ear was sliced off. You feel this insane burning pain shoot through your head for a second. It almost feels like worms are crawling through your skin as your ear slowly regrows itself on the side of your head. Now, bring your friends through. Those who follow Fori's path of violence when it is only necessary are welcome here, and I will give you aid and passage through, for I have seen where you seek to go. And it kind of backs up and turns and kind of walks back to where it was originally sitting and kind of takes its spot, kind of resting itself on its forearms as it kind of leans forward.
Oh,
This way, almost never getting through this door.
I cannot murder this door. This is not fair.
You may return and warn them of what lies before them. Know that violence will not be tolerated in here. While weapons are not forbidden, actions with them are.
I'll reach down, pick up my great axe, put it back on my back. I'll look at it and say, please give me one moment while I talk to them. And then
The creature kind of bows down and kind of leans itself on its elbow as it waits for you.
I'll face through the door again.
Which, as you phase through, make a dexterity check to see if you accidentally get hit by Zoeyama as he's attempting to murder the door to death.
Well, I mean, he could see me. He can see me on
I
the
know,
other
that's
side.
That's why I'm going to say if you get a 6, you'll succeed.
Well, I rolled a 6 plus 2, so 8.
Zoeyama's trying to do his thing, and you're trying to time it just right. There's not quite enough room for you to try and sidestep him because he's right in the middle of the door and you're kind of huge. So try and time it right. And as you step through, right as he's kind of like coming down, kind of able to step through and kind of catch his wrist gently.
Calm down.
You have managed to Exodus yourself from the stone as it tried to eat you. I knew it would not be able to digest one as stubborn as you.
Calm down.
Yes.
I've been trying to tell
I-
him, but he just doesn't listen.
You have all looked like baboons on the other side of the store.
I am eagle, not baboon. We have talked of this. Yes.
Okay. I can grant you all access through this door.
I do not wish to be in.
If you do not want to follow, then you are more than happy to go back. But if you go through here, we will be led to where we need to be. Now,
Good enough for
I
me.
ask you all, calm down.
Hmm.
No attacking, no killing, no dangerous thoughts. Sway.
Uh-oh. You tell me not to think of dangerous thoughts. It's all I can think of now. I'm murdering the stone. I am murdering the dragon. I'm murdering the
No.
mage. I'm
Murder.
murdering the...
Thomas is
It
gonna
goes
look
on
at
for
Matoshka,
like
him.
if you'd
5
like to make
minutes.
a
Thomas is gonna look at him like,
I'm
you
gonna
don't calm
speak in
down.
Twathan.
I can make you calm down. And he pulls out the vial of death sleep.
you do
Fang
one more.
immediately
might
makes
be
his sword
not a bad
disappear.
idea.
I'm gonna speak in Twathan to my little friend over here.
Go ahead, have a conversation.
Fang, almost immediately at hearing this, makes his blade go away. Just, and he walks forwards towards the room.
Now, Zway, this person knows the history of our tribe and our race.
Hmm.
He knows where we came from.
Hmm.
Provides a multitude of information for questions I didn't even know I asked at what point.
Like how to murder a dragon better.
No murder. No
No.
murder.
Yes.
By the way, when I come out, does anybody say anything to me? Or notice anything about me? Or are you
We're all
jackwagons?
pretty perceptive. At
Are
least Thomas would probably recognize that you have an ear that you didn't have.
Well, you used
Yeah.
to hide it, right? You
No.
like pulled your hair down or had like a hood, as I recall, or
I
something.
mean, I had hair, but for the most part, you knew it was there.
Well,
Or
let's
you knew
roll
it
some
wasn't there.
perception. 10.
10 will be enough for you to notice he has an ear, and he's definitely not hiding it. I mean,
Your ear,
An 18,
it
so.
is larger than I remember. Oh, it
would
has
you
grown
look at
back.
that?
Yes, what lies on the other side of the store granted me this gift. Now, if you were to follow me through, you cannot attack it. You cannot be even slightly aggressive towards it. Do you promise me that you will be able to do this?
I promise that I will try. I do not want to disappoint my friend.
All right. Well, knowing
right.
that everybody else is calmed down and ready to go through for the most part.
Yeah.
Fang has already walked through, interestingly enough.
Oh,
So,
there.
let's get everyone together and kind of push through. How does Zoyama react to falling through rock, if you will?
Gonna make like a wisdom check here.
Falling through
Oh,
rock or
18
being
plus-
eaten by a door.
Plus
Yeah.
one's 19. Yeah, so I think he's doing all right. He's suddenly it dawns on him that the wall wasn't actually trying to eat Mato. And yeah, I know it's a massive deduction. And
For him.
And he is super proud of it. He's like, yes, it was not trying to eat you. It is a door. Yes, makes sense. but that is one strange door. I think
For Tom, it's the strangest thing ever to walk up to a door that he knows is probably there, but he can't see, and to just trust that he's not going to walk into the rock.
Does it look and or feel like water to us as we go through it?
As you pass through it, it does feel like going through water. However, you can't see it the way Mata does due to you not being Twathan. As soon as Zoyama kind of gets himself composed, he does notice the door start to do its ripply thing.
It's like water, and he like throws Thomas through it, just kind of like tosses him in.
Would Thomas resist that, or
No, I mean,
go for a swim?
not unless he's gonna fall down.
okay, Thomas.
Yeah.
As we all come through, we find Fang having met the creature, and controlled himself. Fang, when you came in, the creature did the same thing where it walked up and extended its hand to you, in what you assume is probably greeting.
So Fang extends his hand as well, and he pulls his sleeve up, and he focuses on the runes and puts a rune in the middle of his hand. Not aggressively, but to see if this creature recognizes the rune.
Well, as it takes your hand and that voice kind of comes into your mind, this creature introduces itself to you. Hello, little friend.
I would not say I am little. But
All
hello.
are little next to me. I am the Buffalo. I am ancient. I am time as he stands. I have seen the wandering one and named him. You wander as well. Tell me, do you know of your parentage?
My parentage. What do you mean
An
by
image
this?
flashes into your mind really quickly as you say parentage of a orc female holding hands with a human male of, kind of regal stature, as its answer to your implied question of parentage.
What are you showing me? What is this?
Your parents.
Parents. I
Mm.
have no parents.
All who are born have parents. You may not know them, but they know you.
They know nothing of me. They were never there.
Your mother, perhaps, and you see the image of her in your mind just kind of fade away. Your father, however, has never been too far, at least not until recently. He's kind of like, it's almost like a camera zooming away from him back to you in Kalaran, like he's alive and somewhere else. But as the camera kind of pans super far back, you lose sight of him as it then kind of zooms up on you as a child, as an urchin in Kularan, doing your thing, trying to sell and steal, survive.
Who was that man? Why did you show him to me?
Because your family is not dead. You will find that there is family far closer than you think.
I have all the family I need. He turns and starts to walk out of the room.
Are you certain that you would not like to hear of Ramas?
I don't know what you speak of. My family wanted nothing to do with me. Why would I want something to do with them?
Your family's prejudice towards orcs was well earned. However, know this. Your parentage and your family is of noble origin, and there is others around that would be glad to know that you exist. Now, for prejudice now rules those surviving members of your family. Your father is an outcast. He no longer lives amongst the city-states. He has gone to the other side of the wall. But your cousin, he recently survived an attack and was unfortunately left in less than a positive state by the attacker. He is coming. He is only a few miles outside of the guild. And he flashes a quick picture of a hooded creature walking quietly through the woods with 2 pairs of red horns just gently poking out of the hood as it walks from tree to tree.
I've seen him. He will not take it from me. And he summons the blade to his hand.
It's not his yet.
Nor
If
will
you
it ever
die,
be.
it is.
Nor will I ever
If
die.
he were to die, it might pass to him. Such is the way of your family. Always the most in need find themselves in possession of the ancient blade. Incidentally, I have crafted for you a more physical representation of your blade if you wish for it to inhabit this physical representation, no longer living as wisps of smoke. But know that Ramas, he is your family, and he is, well, not necessarily the next in line. He definitely would like to meet you. He too is now a matter of prejudice, having been transfigured.
The devil incarnate.
Some call them. Tieflings are not looked kindly at one.
Nor am I. He shuts up and walks away, the most that he can. Stays in the corner of the room.
All right. You guys hearing none of this, because it's obviously communicated mentally through touch, just watch Fang look very upset and walk off. Creature sees you come in, spreads its hand, and bids you to come closer.
So
Who goes first?
being very antsy. He's little puffs of smoke are like starting to form in his hands, and he's like, no.
I slap my hand on his shoulder, give him a nod.
So who goes first?
I'd
Go
go.
for
I
it.
can go. Tom would go up and take his turn to reach his hand out.
As you take its hand, you hear a soft wolf howling in the background before the creature looks at you and kind of shakes its head. A wolf who is not a wolf. You support your pack, those who travel with you.
I do. Best I can.
And yet you are also the root, keeping those who are easily drawn astray from finding themselves too deeply in trouble. It kind of shows a picture of like a tree rapidly growing from sprout to this huge towering oak tree. Yes. The tree is better. You know great things, singer.
I've studied what I can.
Artisans are always welcome here. You may find a riddle awaiting you deeper in the cave. Some of these crystals have not been tempted in quite some time by someone of great intellect or skill.
Interest. Crystals, you said.
They would benefit from the conversation.
Well, I always love a good conversation.
It gently lets your hand fall and then turns kind of sideways looking at Zoyama.
Would you like to talk with Zoyama now?
Creature kind of looks at you, looks back at him, and then kind of adjusts its position so that he's facing Zoyama head on. It almost kind of, it's a quadruped, so he kind of kneels down a little bit before extending his hand out. Instead of turning it open like a father giving a child's hand, he extends it sideways towards him.
Think he would take a moment, and he is like super anxious and trying very hard not to think about murdering. So he would, I think, instinctively, maybe he starts singing a song song that is horribly off key. Thomas is like just like it's just like chalk nails on a chalkboard to him. He's like, oh man. And something that his maybe his father sang to him when he was little to calm him down. A deep, throaty song.
We can all imagine that. Some nice Tibetan throat singing.
Yeah. And then
unless you'd like to sing, I'll let you sing if you want.
no, I'm worse than he is. So then he'll kind of reach out his hand slowly and just touch it tentatively.
He closes his other fingers, just lets the fingers touching.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like the Sistine Chapel at this moment.
Come down for communion.
Peace, little bird. There is danger here. There's no storms to frighten you.
Peace is not what I was made for. I was made to solve.
It's communicating
problems.
telepathically, so technically you don't have to worry about speaking.
Oh,
in common.
hello there, my good friend. No, fine. Peace. Peace is not my life. No one has ever sought me for peace. No one has ever brought me for peace. The closest that I've ever found it is with my friend, Matoshka.
The bear does exemplify the great moon bear. Strong, calm, leading. Why do you come? You seek peace through violence?
I don't know how to seek peace. I am learning how to seek peace. But the violence is ever present. It beats in my heart, through my veins. It's in my blood.
If you wish to achieve peace, I can give you a window, a beginning, a place to begin. It will not solve your problems, but it will begin it.
I am ever on a journey, never ending, never stopping. But perhaps I can explore a different path.
Then let this sunstone guide you. He reaches out his hand before kind of aggressively turning it over and raising it up to a fist. Kind of a earthbending-ish thing. Whitish yellow, but very clear crystal pops out of the ground. It kind of shapes itself into this small orb about the size of an almond. Before he takes it, plucks it off, and hands it to you. This sunstone may guide you. Beware. It will change fundamentally what you are and guide you closer towards peace.
I'm afraid.
If you are not, you would be a fool. And you are not a fool, Zoyama. Merely bound by anger. Just let it float in the air gently in front of you.
I think he cries. I don't know if he knows that he's crying, but he's crying. And he takes it very tentatively, reaching out and then pulling back and reaching out, pulling back, and then finally taking it with just 2 fingers very gently. And then holding it in his hand.
When you are ready, seek the wisdom that your clan has taught you. Seek the druid's ways. This stone will guide you its path. Now, it kind of extends a strange kind of telepathic bond out aloud to all of you. It's not nearly as intimate and close. It almost feels kind of like hearing someone through a megaphone. through PA system, very impersonal. Now, what you are in is an ancient Formar shrine. The magic of this land runs very strongly through here. Be careful not to use any spells. They will be uncontrollable here. If you follow this passage along, you will come to the cave of the Whispering Crystals, and then through there, you'll find another door. This one can be opened from the inside. This door leads to a hallway inside the Mage's Guild. Many mages have attempted to pierce it, but none have succeeded due to the strong wards left on this place. Do know I cannot follow you. If I were to leave this place, time would finally grasp me, and I would no longer remain as I am. If you have need of anything, let me know. I can create a great many things through the magic that flows through here. And the visions that it brings can be interesting. Another group is approaching from the north. A gnome. A kobold and a human. What an interesting combination. Perhaps you will meet them. They seek the same things as you. Perhaps. I have not interacted with people in a very long time. I am tired. Please, if you need anything, you only must think and I will know your request. But I must retire. It kind of turns and in that strange, almost like gorilla walking fashion, even though it has goat hooves in the back, it walks its way away from you guys and down kind of a small side cavern before the ground itself kind of lurches up to close the door, is so to speak, behind it, leaving you guys alone in this cavern. Now, the door behind you is still doing its liquidy thing, but there's green crystals all around you, softly glowing, and the cavern seems to continue downwards and into another larger chamber.
There's already crystals.
Yeah. Zwayama, I think, is starting to just weep. And he's collapsed to the floor.
So, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
this crystal, for your metagame usage, through a ritual, which will take about 20 minutes of in-game time due to the complex natures of it, through a ritual that the stone will kind of tell you of as you do it, you can take your character and shuffle its classes to no longer be largely soul knife. If you would like to add in more cleric or druid levels as a way of finding peace for your character, or if you want to think of another combination that would still fit your character but might find a way to strengthen his emotional stability, that is the option that is extended to you through this stone.
So swap class levels?
Yep.
What about...
You'll still be a grand total of a level 5. You can use it whenever you feel ready.
Does it allow him to swap stats as well?
It very well might, especially if you're swapping significantly between classes.
Okay. All right, cool. That'd be interesting.
It's the only way I could think of for your character to have some sort of actual significant character change in that department. So, Matoshka, congratulations on getting your party in there.
And I lose my +1 hand axe of returning.
Not to worry. I got you.
I just want to make sure to take it off my list. So.
Not
You
to
got an
worry.
ear.
You did get an
Yeah.
ear and the ability to return home out of it.
Does that increase his perception? Does he now hear
You know
better?
what? I will allow it to increase your perception by 1.
+1 for extra ear.
I wouldn't say extra. Replacement.
Placement here.
A replacement here.
A negative
All right,
replenished.
so you've all had a moment to kind of think about what's going on. What do you do in this cave?
Thomas is going to be interacting with these crystals. He is going to try touching them, playing music to them. All sorts of other things. I've got ideas.
Where's my notes? I got notes on this. So as you come up to the crystals in there, you can actually hear the crystals softly kind of humming, to almost like they're humming to each other across the way. Just a little, "Ah, oh, oh, oh," like they're almost literally musically talking to each other, which is pretty cool. The crystals are kind of talking and playing music aloud to each other, kind of a soft, almost ethereal kind of flute sound as they kind of like tweet back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a musician. I assume you have proficiency in performance.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, I should double check. You're a lore bard. There's a
Double
lot of stuff that
proficiency.
goes weird with lore bards.
Is
Why
it
not? Oh.
possible for a bard not to have proficiency in performance?
Yeah.
Yes. As a lore bard, it's actually really common because lore bards get the whole thing where they can move their proficiencies around. That's 6th level, I believe, where you can start moving proficiencies. So for them, it's like, why have performance when I'm literally like a historian? Anyhow,
Because I would probably.
so because you have proficiency in performance, you notice them playing a series of notes aloud to each other.
Okay.
They do seem to follow a pattern. So you first hear one crystal kind of respond with da da da, and then another one kind of repeats it back, da da da. And down the way, you hear another crystal sing da da. Another one responds back with da. Once again, you hear one down the way go da da da, and another one respond with dum. They do seem to have a strange way of talking to each other.
Mm-hmm. I would try
So-
to kind of match the tones, I think, with my flute.
Okay, go ahead and make a performance check.
14.
So with a 14, you get to play, and you notice that as you're playing with them, certain crystals do seem to respond better when you seem to match basically match the pattern of what they're playing in musical value,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you invert the tone. So if they play kind of a rising scale of 3 notes, da da da. If you played it backwards, da da da, they respond kind of to that. And so they're starting to respond to you as you're playing.
Okay.
What I'd like you to do is, if you would like to continue to interact with them to see if something happens, either make another performance check, or if you have some sort of bardic spell you'd like to cast or something, whatever you would like to do. Tell me what you'd like to do. I'll give you a DC if necessary.
So, I think I would stick to just trying to play music with them. In the long rests and short rests that we've taken, have I managed to finish my drum?
Yes.
Oh, good. So I think Tom would try to take the notes he's heard and kind of the patterns he's heard and make them a bit more coherently into a song. So he would try to put the notes a bit more coherently into a song with the patterns he's heard. And one thing he's been holding on to is he's gonna play the drum with his mage hand while he's playing the flute.
That's awesome.
And then
Okay.
he's gonna try to do that.
Okay, here's what I'm going to ask you to do, okay? To see if you can successfully play the drum with mage hand while you play the flute, I'm going to need you to make a performance check of 12 to do that. If you can make that 12, make another performance check with advantage to see what happens with the crystals. Otherwise, you'll just do it kind of normal-like.
Okay. No, I got an 11.
Oh, so close.
Got a 4 on the die.
Okay,
You're finding it just a little bit difficult to focus on flute
it's my
and drum
first
at the same
time.
time. You're trying. You almost got it. It's close, but you need more practice. So if you'd like to pick one instrument and then roll performance.
Okay, he'd be most most practiced with the flute, so he'd be going with his flute and doing a performance. Oh my god, I got a 10.
Rolled a 3.
You rolled a 3. Okay. You're playing with the crystals and you can hear them starting to coalesce into some sort of song together with your flute. And it's continuing to build and build and build. And you're going to continue doing that for a little bit. We're going to come back to you while you're playing this song. It's a beautiful thing. We're going to go to Jace. Jace is kind of sulked off to the end of the cave after hearing that he does definitely have family that's alive, and he's not certain how he feels about it, as best I can tell. How do you feel about it, Fang?
Fang is quite confused. For a long time, he had believed that he had no family, no living family at least, and that he was just cursed to be alone. And he kind of has used this group to replace his family, and he doesn't really have much connection to them other than the blood connection that he has. But he's also very curious. He's never heard of his cousin Ramas, and he's never even considered that he would ever meet anybody else in his line. So he's dealing with these repercussions, debating whether to use the speak with dad in the spell book, and just kind of examining the sword, fearing that it would be taken from him. After trying so long to get rid of it, he's now grown quite fond of it.
As he's looking at his sword, you're going to hear the Bullywump's voice kind of gently caress back into your brain. Almost as if like touching him kind of establishes a connection while you're in here. And you can hear him say gently into your brain, "If you fear losing the blade, there is an artifact hidden in this wall that may enable you to bind it a little bit more permanently to this plane."
Inside of the wall,
You see the crystals kind of light up in like a series of like almost like a blinker telling you follow me.
I touch them as I walk by.
Just gently kind of from wherever you're touching, it's kind of pulsing along the wall towards an end, kind of directing you along. Do you follow it?
Yeah, I'm following it.
Oh, as you follow it down, it takes you to a section of wall where it leads you to a crystal that is encasing around what looks to be a wooden sword. A child's wooden sword, interestingly enough, encased in crystal. And it's just sitting there. The light's kind of going right up to the base of it and then, zooming around the base as if trying to highlight it for you. Around the base of this crystal spire, you also see a basket that is sitting there. This basket looks to be ancient. In fact, it's so old that it almost seems to be falling apart where it's sitting. But there is what looks to be another item sitting inside of there, at least.
I slowly reach forward and grab it.
The crystal, the basket.
The crystal.
As you touch it, the crystal gently, ever so gently, melts, almost like an ice cube in the sun, down enough to reveal the hilt of the wooden sword for you.
I pick it up.
All right. As you grab the wooden sword, you actually can feel your arms burning ever so slightly. As it looks like the runes carved into your arms spread and propagate themselves along the blade and hilt of this wooden sword, kind of burning themselves in. And as it does, the wooden sword actually begins to grow and take on the shape of your hexblade longsword, roughly taking on its shape made of wood, except in this case.
I focus on it and make it
As you continue
disappear.
to focus on it, incidentally, it will not fully disappear unless you completely rip your hexblade's essence from it. It will, however, shrink back to a childlike size that looks very much unintimidating.
Interesting. I put it inside my jacket in its child size. And I pick up the basket. Walk away.
All right. So, if you decide to take a short rest to attune to this weapon, you can semi permanently bind your hexblade to this blade so you no longer have to cause it to appear. You can unbind from it, but it takes a short rest. You don't have to be touching the blade, though, in order to unbind it. While it's bound, this blade does, of course, take on the usual hexblade properties, becoming a spell focus and all that jazz. However, it does slightly upgrade the damage of the dice. So your hexblade right now is a D8, right? So
It's a
in
D10
this
if I use
form,
2 hands.
in this wooden form, it automatically bumps it up to a D10 with one hand and a D12 with two hands. Since the hexblade's energy is being more focused into an object, it's enabling it to become slightly elevated in power, ever so slightly. For the trade-off of it not being able to completely dismiss it, just kind of shrink it. Let's see here. Yeah.
All right. Good deal.
Would you like to use your spellbook talk with Dad?
He said no spells in here. And I've already been dumb enough today to cut myself, so I'm just gonna leave it for now. Also kind of mad that I have a dad that doesn't want to talk to me.
He should want to call me.
All right. All right. So, Jace, is there anything when you take the basket, you do notice that there's a couple of items inside this basket? Very interesting items to be sure. One of them, as I open my link, one of them is this very intricately carved flute. This seems to be made of brass with a semi-living vine wrapped around it. And I don't believe you're proficient with flutes.
No.
Also in there, you find a chunk of that green crystal that you saw in the opening chamber. This says this chunk of crystal seems to have been shaped magically or otherwise into what looks to be a dagger with a kind of crude leather wrap around it to form a hilt. Which is very interesting. It is made of that green crystal. Also in there, you find one of so also in there you find a small weapon, which is loading, taking a sweet time. Yes, you find what looks to be a crossbow without a string. Interestingly enough.
Huh. I actually can use those. Crossbow bows.
Would you like to attempt to handle the crossbow?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up.
All right. As you pick up the crossbow, a small, not damaging, but definitely noticeable feeling of cold kind of spreads across your fingers, as if the crossbow itself is sucking the heat out of the area immediately around it. As you are holding it, though, your warlock essence is able to understand that this is some sort of arcane artifact. But from the looks of it, it looks to be incredibly advanced. The whole thing is made out of a super lightweight, very, very almost iridescent silvery metal. And there doesn't seem to be a bowstring, at least at the moment, even though the arms of the crossbow look like they're cocked.
I'm going to pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger.
Caution is into the wind.
As you pull the trigger, it looks like the crossbow goes to fire, and this just small little burst of like snow comes off the end of the crossbow out of nowhere. You get the feeling that attunement may be required to understand more about this crossbow, which would take a short rest of basically focusing and kind of binding this weapon to your soul.
Maybe later. I pocket everything that's in there and keep walking.
As you walk by, you'll eventually come up to Thomas. Now, Thomas, at this point, the crystals are really going. They're singing, they're humming, they're doing their thing. So I'd like you to make one more performance check with advantage. Because you've gotten them nice and warmed up.
22.
Well, that'll do it. So, playing with them and finding a way to make their strange hums into a melody has seemed to gotten this crystal's attention. And so, one crystal, it's almost like it grows an arm out. This little spider webbing protrusion starts to grow off of it at different angles. It works its way out towards you, extending out until it just barely reaches out to touch your hand.
I would reach out.
Okay. As you reach out, the crystal connects with you, and you hear a voice that almost seems to be laughing. And it says, "We haven't had such fun in so many years. Thank you, friend. Let us reward you and those of your company who find themselves in need. Come. Place an item on one of our brethren here. Let us transfigure it for you, to better it for you."
Oh, how generous.
It would appear, however, that the half-orc that is with you, already possesses some sort of implement of great power.
Yes, he seems to. Yeah, I forget if I've actually seen that he has that or not. I kind of don't think
Most likely not.
Yeah.
However, Matoshka, this may be an instance for you to replace the +1 axe that was destroyed.
I'll put up my great axe.
Since I personally just feel weird taking a magic item away from you.
I'll put up my great axe.
You'll set your great axe down. Do you guys inform Zoyama about the opportunity?
Yeah, I let him know what's going on.
Zoyama, what item would you like to put before the crystals?
So it's a non-magical item?
Any non-magical item you can put before them. Or if you're feeling bold and you don't want to place an item before them, you could just place a stone there and see what they create.
The dragon wing cloak is not technically magical, is it?
No, it's not.
I'm gonna put my dragon wing cloak onto the crystals. He has the long sword. He has his smoke blades. That's really the sorry, he has the rapier. The bracers. Those are all magical already. He doesn't have a lot of stuff. He doesn't collect a lot of stuff.
I can tell you that the rapier is less arcane and more what's the word? Instead of being an arcane caster, he's more of a what's the word they use for clerics and druids? Their type of casting.
Divine.
It's divine. Yeah, it's more of a divine implement than an arcane one. You could put it down if you so desired.
He also has his eagle mask. You know what? I'm gonna do the eagle mask. So like, he has this mask that he wears kind of as a hat, but every now and then pulls down, and it's kind of in the form of an eagle. You put that down on there. I think the cloak would be cool, but I think the mask is cooler.
All right. So great axe. That what does Tom place there before them? Jace, if you would like to set an item down, that's cool. So just since you've got a plethora of magical items in your possession, technically at this point,
I am going to set the black rock down that I got from the beginning when our ship was wrecked and I broke a black rock off. I'm going to set that down.
The black rock that may or may not have been the remains of the tallest spire of the Formar city. All right. That's pretty cool.
Didn't have that written down, did you?
Well, I do have something for that. Let me see here. It's in general. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thomas, what do you put down?
So Tom is really feeling the musical vibes, and he's got a couple magical things already for his weaponry, and he's not really weaponry heavy anyways. So he is going to reach deep into the bottom of his bag and pull out something from the very beginning of this adventure. He's going to pull out the bell that was on the cow.
I love it.
Because it's another instrument that he can make more music with.
I love it. Okay. The bell, the great axe, a stone, and the eagle mask. Okay. First things first for Jace. The stone sitting there is slowly lifted up by a column of crystal that then kind of shatters itself slowly, piece by piece, to take that stone and set it inside of an emerald ring made of that emerald crystal, with the stone as the stone that's set there.
I'll put it on.
All right. Putting it on, you feel that it somehow magnifies to a small extent your magical abilities. You feel that it will not be able to come to its full power until you yourself has grown and attuned to it and become more attached to it, but you do feel like it is acting as some sort of magnifier of your magical energies. Now, I'm going to send you the link to the item here on Discord.
Do my runes react to it at all when I put it on?
Oh, they go and start turning green on the hand that you put it on.
Ooh, they shift from a quick deep purple to a lighter green. I like that.
Like softly glowing.
Okay.
Keep it under your hat until everyone has their thing here.
Yeah.
Now, for Matoshka, for the great axe, this one was Formar made. made of a wood, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Now this is going to reach out and touch it, and it's going to take the head of the axe, and it's going to just gently touch it and cause the whole head of the axe to grow into this very interesting crystalline axe head. And you're going to see a small sliver of that crystal go all the way down to the bottom of the axe, where it seems to form a small kind of quartz crystal spike. It's not super sharp or anything. It's just it comes out to a point at the bottom of the great axe heft. So your great axe now becomes a +1 great axe, and you can use your bonus action to make a second attack with that little spike on the bottom for a 1d4. No modifiers on that d4, just the 1d4.
Just to the damage, or
The 1d4 damage plus proficiency. Fine, I'll let you have proficiency.
well, no, I mean to attack. Is it?
Oh, your attack, it's going to be not +1, like normal.
It's like an offhand
Okay.
attack, but
It's like an offhand attack,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it's with the weapon itself. It's a little bit like what you can do with Polearm Master. You can make an attack with a haft,
Gotcha.
except for
Okay.
you don't need the feet.
Okay.
All right. And so it's +1. You get that +4 offhand, like bunt and strike. So you can chop. And with the crystal reinforcing the haft, you no longer have to worry about if you get a natural 1 on a really big attack, if it being shattered. It seems to be a lot more robustly strong now. An occupational hazard with wooden weapons of them being shattered. Now the eagle mask. Is this made out of wood, bone? What is this?
wood.
Not anymore. It turns into a deep, completely opaque, milky crystal. That will sit on top of your head. When worn, this mask will give you basically telescopic sight up to about 100 feet, kind of like looking through binoculars. Just like an eagle's vision is able to see a mouse at 2 miles away, this mask will enable you to see and adjust your vision telepathically to either be normal or to zoom in very closely with very fine detail up to 100 feet away without any sort of trouble.
And does that have any? So I guess it extends the range of my perception.
Yes. Also, if it same range of perception, it also, while you're wearing it, gives you a +5 to perception.
+5. Does it still look like an eagle mask? Just
It now appears as if it's made out of bone that's been turned to crystal.
Bone turned to crystal.
What it looks like. Now that perception bonus is for perceptions that involve sight, of course. If it's a perception involving smell, you're gonna be out of luck.
What?
Yeah.
Doesn't give me eagle smell. That's a thing,
No,
right?
it does not. Eagle smell. No.
Cool. So yeah.
It may or may not give you a chance to protect yourself from poison clouds, but that might just be a fluke of the mask at this point.
Okay. So yeah,
we'll take it if we get there.
Yeah. So I've been giving this some thought, and I think whilst all this has been happening, I think Zoeyama probably has activated the stone and has been performing the ritual. like he was like sitting on the ground, kind of weeping and crying. And since this is near the end of the session, anyways, I think it's probably a good point. He activated it, and I'm going to swap a bunch of levels into Druid, and I haven't absolutely decided if I'm going to take them all into Druid, but I'm leaning that way.
It would be interesting if you lift one level in either Rogue, but no longer as a Soul Blade.
Yeah.
Or if you instead took like a Redemption Paladin type of bend with a level.
Yeah. So
I always thought that Druid Paladins are interesting.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, maybe we'll talk about that offline over the
Yeah.
week. But I'm gonna go for the wildfire druid. So he's going to become I think at the end of this ritual, the stone ignites in flame, covering him in flame, and like a phoenix reborn, the flame kind of consumes him and then falls away. And the smoke of his soul blades has been burned away and left with purifying fire.
Nice. We'll have to talk about the spells for Wildfire Druid.
Yeah.
Because I believe you get Revivify, which could be very interesting.
It is.
We'll have to talk.
Yes.
It'll be good. And I love that. We'll just assume that it's a very ornate ritual. Lots of smoke kind of pouring out of your hands as you are humming over the stone.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you're purifying the smoke from your body as it continually gets drawn out of you before it bursts into flames and consumes you.
Yeah. How I think of it is like he's always had this smoldering smoke in his body that's come out. Now he is the flame. He's no longer the smoke. The smoke is noxious and it does not create, it just poisons. But the fire now is burning through him, cleansing that smoke and making it clean.
Fun.
Yes, and
we'll talk.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll talk. We'll get you set up.
Yeah.
Now for Thomas. That bell, which came from a cow that was summoned through one of Augie's magical items, a damaged bag of holding.
Right.
It may or may not have spit random animals if it was ever accidentally attacked in a area of effect attack, or if you tried to get something out and you failed your save. That cow, you took the bell from it. So the bell, when touched by the crystal, is transformed from a usual cowbell to this delicate looking solid crystal bell with a little handle off of it. Once you pick it up, you realize it only looks delicate. It actually is quite robust. But semi-magically suspended on the inside is the little beater for it, so you can actually ring the bell.
Okay.
The crystals will warn you, don't ring it in here. You get one of my wife's magic items that she created. I have a list of magic items that I keep with me, by the way, in case y'all have ever wondered. Now, this bell summons the nearest animal or beast, whether it be neutral to the party, friendly to the party, an enemy of the party, and it summons them either within the same space as you, which makes you functionally riding them somewhere around you, or what have you. It'll summon the nearest animal or beast to you, and it will encourage them to treat you with cautious neutrality unless provoked otherwise.
Okay.
Think of it as a bell of extreme animal handling, if you will.
Okay.
Like you could summon the nearest creature, animal, or beast that is nearest to you, or that if you have a very specific creature in mind you're trying to summon, it will summon the closest one of that. There may be some travel time involved in that, and it will bring them to you. and they will treat you as cautiously neutral. Like they don't know why they've been summoned, but they don't feel the immediate need to attack you.
Okay. This sounds
All right. I thought you'd like that. That was one of my wife's ideas.
okay.
My original idea was for a cursed item that would summon a whale directly above your head if rung. She had a better idea, so I give that to her.
I don't know.
Because I thought, it only takes one whale before you figure out this is the most epic siege weapon of all time.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference is too good.
I thought you'd like that.
That's fun. Take a note of that. Yeah. I wonder if it'll be friends with me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to assume that you guys take the day to kind of rest and adjust. If anyone plans to attune to any items that they have, or to share those items with the group if you have multiple items, that's cool. Just put it in the downtime chat that you plan to attune to them, because I'm going to assume you spent a little bit of time in there kind of adjusting before you head out. Maybe asking more questions of the bully womp. But by the time we start next session, we'll assume that we've been underground for about 5 hours, which will make it about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If someone would like to write that down so I don't forget, because I will totally forget. And then we can continue from there.
Rest
To
5 p.m.
And thanks to all of the amazing RP we've done, not to mention the fantastic efforts that you had last time we played, well, abducting someone without anyone getting caught or attacked, which was awesome. Also, not to mention the fact that you absolutely wrecked a guild enforcer in less than 3 rounds. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a level. You're all now officially level 6 characters.
Woo!
Due to your development, which is why I was trying to insinuate that maybe Mike should wait just a second, because she's going to get another level, so he'll have something to play with.
Yeah. Room to play with. Yeah.
You're level 6 now. Mike, if you decide to take the Wildfire Druid, we'll have to talk, because there's a couple of spells that Wildfire Druid gets that are extremely, extremely overpowered and may not work with the setting per se, but I'll be happy to help you find a replacement if you so desire.
Yeah.
We'll call it a player's choice.
Gives us all extremely powerful magic items, then gets worried about wildfire druid spells.
Oh, don't worry. I'm giving you extremely powerful magic items because, spoiler alert, the next time this happens, I'm going to try and kill you.
That's what Revivify is good to have.
Yeah.
So let's keep that.
Haven't you seen in video games right before the boss battle, they give you the room full of ammunition?
Yes. You also have to stock up on potions and such.
I can't promise that there's a boss battle coming, but I can promise that I hand out levels sparingly when I think you guys are ready for them, and also when it's kind of narratively good, like you've been doing a lot of good work for it. Yeah. Also, I think it's been about 5 sessions since you guys got a level.
That's
so
good.
If we were actually tracking XP, that's about where we would be. Thank you for listening to Tale Untold podcast. Remember, if you are enjoying this game, you should go grab yourself a player's handbook and maybe a Dungeon Master's Guide and do it yourself, because D&D is best with friends.